Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. It's Denise. We are here to chat about the September 6th edition of NXT 2.0. And first and foremost, man, what a last couple of days it has been. It has been nothing but madness in the wrestling world. I feel like, honestly, anybody who actually paid attention to anything else that was not having to do with AEW today, or like even yesterday's, like kudos to you, man, because even though yesterday's Raw was pretty good and today's episode of NXT 2.0 was good, I think it is a little hard to focus on anything that's not involving the AEW drama. So it was kind of like hard to get a little bit like focusing on something else. But for the most part, I thought that today's episode of NXT 2.0 was pretty good. And I'm looking forward to actually chatting about it today. There were a couple of matches which I really enjoyed. One that I absolutely loved. I thought that the women overall on today's episode of NXT 2.0 were like the standout of the show because they had some really good matches here today. I can't wait to talk about that. Next week for NXT 2.0, we are going to be having the 1-year anniversary. So I can't wait to cover that show. I mean, there's just so much going on right now. Really quickly, before I get into all of this, I do want to give you guys a heads up that right now my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, is absolutely like blowing up right now. And obviously it's because of the AEW media scrum from yesterday. God, I don't even know what day it is anymore. From Sunday. The CM Punk thing really blew the channel up. It is officially my second most watched video ever that I've posted on that channel. The first one is still the interview with Lana and Bobby Lashley that got 1.3 million views. But this is my second most watched video of all time. And as all of you guys know, I fund myself to all of these trips. And sometimes there's only been one instance where I didn't make my money back. But for the most part, I've been making my money back on all of those trips. And this one, I almost didn't. I hate to say it, but thanks to CM Punk and everything that he said on the scrum, I was able to make my money back on that trip. So please, guys, if you haven't already, go check it out. I was very proud that I had the best video in terms of the best quality, the best audio. Everything was in sync and everyone sounded like everyone. So if you guys do want to check it out at any point, that is at youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. And you can check out all of the media scrums have been broken up with Tony Khan, Swerve in Our Glory, Tony Storm, CM Punk, Chris Jericho, Tony Khan himself. There's a lot, so make sure you guys go ahead and check those out. But now, let's get into NXT 2.0. First and foremost, guys, if you want to get your questions or comments read on this stream, I do read like regular comments as well, but if you want to make sure that it does get read on the air and you're like, Denise needs to read this, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat at any point. They also help support the show and help keep me funded, so I very much thank you guys all for this. We actually have our first super chat of the day, and I want to give a special shout out to this person. This is Darth Stevens 777, because not only has he been incredibly supportive of the show and always sending in super chats, etc., tuning in, helping promote the show, but also sent a really, really nice gesture my direction over this weekend. So I just want to say thank you so much for literally all of your support and for also going just like give like that extra special touch this weekend. But he says, congrats on 560K views and thank you for the kind words on Twitter. Do you think Toxic Attraction is headed towards the main roster soon? So usually we go on the show in order in terms of things that went down, but I am going to go ahead and kick it off with this match since you brought it up, because I feel like I want to start talking about this match, and this was NIKKI and DOUDROP versus Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. So you ask about Toxic Attraction, whether or not they're headed to the main roster soon or not. Obviously, we still don't know for sure. I feel like if they were to leave NXT 2.0, I do feel like they legitimately are a huge portion of the show, and they've been featured like heavily throughout this whole year. I can't believe it's even been a year already, but through this entire year, they have been one of the best, one of the most featured acts on NXT 2.0. Like even from the beginning where it kind of started off being this like kind of very sexy show. You guys remember all of those like promos for NXT 2.0 where they would like zoom in and do the licking of the lips and showing the girls and this and that. They've been a heavy part. Mandy Rose has been champion pretty much like the entire time. Aside from Raquel Gonzalez, Mandy Rose is the only NXT 2.0 era women's champion aside from Raquel Gonzalez for this era of NXT. So they have definitely dominated this brand in terms of just being featured so much. So I do, and I also think like there isn't a replacement yet for Toxic Attraction. Like there's obviously a bunch of women on the show, but I still don't feel like there's enough for them to be like, okay, let's move them to the main roster and we'll have somebody that could kind of take their place. I do feel like if they were to like leave NXT 2.0, there would be a void missing there. But regardless, I do think that they are a main roster act. They've been a main roster act already. And the biggest takeaway that I got from this tag team match between JC Jane and Gigi Dolan against DOUDROP and NIKKI A.S.H is that Gigi and JC can hang. They can hang with the main roster talent. They can hang with the main roster girls. And if they were to go over to the main roster and there is a huge void for them to fill there too, they could be used on both shows really, or on any show really. It just proves that they can actually hang. I thought that the action for this tag team match between these women was freaking phenomenal. I loved it. And I do want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that because aside from them kind of just like proving that they can hang from the main roster with the main roster talent, I want to go ahead and talk about NIKKI and DOUDROP. Now, we've been noticing now for the last couple of months that they've been incorporating main roster talent into NXT 2.0. And for the most part, everybody has brought or added something to the show when they do get brought in there. And I want to give so much love to NIKKI and DOUDROP here because I really do think like even though they've just made like very few appearances, they have added a lot to NXT 2.0. And here's the thing, like in terms of tag teams for the women on NXT 2.0, there isn't nearly enough tag teams there like at all. So NIKKI and DOUDROP were seriously needed for NXT 2.0, but they have added so much. But what I want to put over here too, it is a little weird though. I will say this. It is a little weird that like on Raw, we're already seeing like NIKKI and DOUDROP, fizzle down and kind of we've been seeing that that friction between them. And here on NXT 2.0, they didn't have any of that really. So it is a little like, it does feel a little bit like disconnected, but I'm like, whatever. I just appreciate them being on the show because it does help elevate the show, period. But on top of this, though, DOUDROP freaking killed it in this match, man. She's been on fire recently, more so than in the past, I believe. And honestly, I really freaking love this match, mainly because just of how aggressive DOUDROP was during this. When she gave that cannonball to Gigi, and then afterwards she did the splash to Gigi. Oh, man, I was so into it. And then I don't even know how, but at some point, DOUDROP got busted open, and when she actually got the win for her team, it looked pretty damn good just because like she was literally just like bleeding and she looked all like she had just been through hell. So this was really good. I liked this. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, NIKKI and DOUDROP did a great job on the main roster, on NXT 2.0, and whether or not we see Gigi and JC on the main roster, I guess is yet to be seen because they would be missed greatly on NXT 2.0. All right, let's get some thoughts in here. We got a super chat here from Brandon Roseanne. Thank you so much to Brandon, who says, I checked out the CM Punk footage on your channel, and I gotta say, I would not want to work with that guy. Speaking from experience, nothing sucks more than a toxic work environment. Thank you, Brandon, for sending in the super chat and for also watching the footage on my channel. Thank you very much. And yeah, there's a lot of drama. Obviously, we've been talking about this nonstop. I talked about it heavily with Sean yesterday on Raw's Fightful post show. There was a lot to, basically talk about there. But thank you so much to Brandon for sending that in. We got another super chat here from Mike Parker, PWMM. Thank you so much to Mike. Mike says, I feel like Mandy wouldn't have gotten as good a spot on the main roster with Charlotte, Becky, Bianca, etc. around. And this is something that I've been saying since Mandy Rose went to NXT 2.0. Like, on one side, yes, going from the main roster to NXT 2.0, it does feel like a demotion. Okay, let's be real. It does feel like that. However, given what they had her do like in those final periods of her on the main roster to what she's doing now, it's like she got more bang for her buck, So prior to her like coming into NXT 2.0, like the last couple of things that she was doing on the main roster was obviously teaming with Dana Brooke. They had that cute little tag team going. But it wasn't anything to be over the moon about, because really they didn't really have a good program for them. Like, they looked great as a team, both Dana and Mandy. They looked great. But the problem was that they were having them go out there and not even like, if they wrestled a match, there wasn't much to it, and then they would have them essentially like go out there, and then they would be in the middle of the match, and then they would walk away from the match, and it would just have all of these weird endings. So it wasn't even like it wasn't anything to be like totally over the moon about. And so then she shows up on NXT 2.0. She wins the championship. She ends up being one of the most featured people on the show. And we're talking about Mandy Rose on a weekly basis. So yeah, going from the main roster to NXT 2.0 definitely feels like a demotion. But I do think she ended up getting a lot more out of it. And I really, like, that's one of the things, if you've been watching these NXT 2.0 review shows, I make sure to give Mandy Rose her due, because honestly, I think she's been doing a great freaking job on NXT 2.0. And that's why I'm like, I do want to see her go back to the main roster and with Gigi and JC, because they would be like a cool, like, a cool group, especially right now that you have, Bailey, Io, and Dakota. And we're seeing a lot more of these like female factions. And I feel like you can do a lot with that. And the presentation of Toxic Attraction is honestly one of my favorite things for NXT 2.0, at least. But thank you so much to Mike Parker for sending in this super chat. I definitely do agree with you that Mandy got more out of NXT 2.0 than she was before. Mario Morales sends in a super chat saying, congrats on getting mentioned on Jim Cornette's drive-thru. Yeah, well, they used my audio because I had the best audio. So yay me. Honestly though, guys, I am really happy about that, because here's the thing, like, I wasn't the only person in that, in that media room. So just for people to actually be using my footage to me means a lot, because they could have gone a lot of, different directions, right? You could have looked at anybody else's footage. And the fact that people chose my footage to like, to link on, a lot of people are, a lot of news sites were linking my footage and all of that. It really does help me out like tremendously, guys. So thank you so much, Mario Morales, for the very generous super chat as well. And we got another super chat from Sheldon Jackson, who says, thoughts on Braun Breaker's reign as NXT champion. Me personally, I'm officially checked out on his reign. Was hoping Tyler would have won Sunday. So obviously we'll talk more about Braun Breaker and Tyler Bate, because that is going to be a big portion of the show. In terms of how I feel, I'll say briefly right now, and then we'll get into everything else afterwards, because I'm going to talk about Braun Breaker towards the end for the main event. But I do want to say though, I feel like I don't think I'm not checked out of his reign yet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't feel like it's as hot. From like the moment that he first became champion, it was like this, like, oh hell yeah, like this is the guy that was like earmarked. Look at him get his moment. He's the, the first, obviously he won the title from Tommaso Ciampa, but it's like he kind of felt like the first official NXT 2.0 era champion. Even though he wasn't, it was Ciampa. It feels like Braun Breaker was really the one that introduced this new era of NXT 2.0. And everybody kind of, for the most part, there was a period where everybody was really hyped on Braun Breaker and things were going really great. We've talked about this before. Things weren't necessarily that hot when he was at least in my opinion. I did not like the booking of Dolph Ziggler and Braun Breaker. I think it took away more from Braun Breaker than it actually added to him. And then following that up with the Joe Gacy promo, probably the Joe Gacy feud, to me, it did not do it did not add anything more to Braun Breaker. So it did kind of feel like they did a lot more that affected his reign than impacted his reign. So I do agree with you on that end of things. But I think because I still think there's a lot of potential with Braun Breaker as NXT 2.0 champion, but obviously our predictions heading into Worlds Collide was that he was going to most likely, head off to the main roster. So whenever he does head off to the main roster is to be seen, but it looks like he's sticking around for a bit more on NXT. Thank you, Shelton Jackson, for also sending in that super chat. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get into. I'll save the Tyler Bates stuff for the end, but let's get into Apollo Crews then, because Apollo Crews had a. Apollo Crews is another interesting one, everyone. Like, he could literally, you can tie him on the same boat as Mandy Rose in the sense that, he went from really doing nothing on the main roster to going to NXT 2.0 and things turning out a lot better for him. And things have definitely turned out a lot better for Apollo Crews on NXT 2.0. We've been seeing better matches from him. The character is a lot more tolerable than it was prior when he was doing the Nigerian Prince gimmick that was way too cartoonish. So this has definitely been working a lot more for Apollo, and he has added a lot to this. But basically, this was just a promo video where he is, talking about how Grayson Waller blurred his vision and his eye is literally like bloodshot red after Waller poked him in the eye last week on NXT, and he just basically vows to keep pushing ahead. And I'm assuming there's going to be another match between Apollo Crews and Grayson Waller. Clearly, let's just hope it's not an eye for an eye match. As long as it's not an eye for an eye match, we're good, guys. We're good. And we've talked about this before, but I really enjoyed the chemistry between Grayson Waller and Apollo Crews too, because they had that really hot promo like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, something like that. And I liked it. This has been Apollo Crews has added to NXT 2.0 instead of taking away from the show. And so for that, I got to say, thumbs up on bringing Apollo Crews into NXT 2.0. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and continue on from here, everybody. Let's get into one of my favorite matches of the night. Not my most favorite, but one of my most favorites, and I'll tell you why. So this was JD McDonough versus Wes Lee. Now, Wes Lee, unfortunately, we've talked about this before. He has sort of been a question mark the last couple of months on NXT 2.0. And the reason for that is he literally went from being part of being an NXT tag team champion with Nash Carter with MSK as MSK. And, things are going really well for them for the most part. Things were getting back on track for MSK. And ever since, the whole drama with Nash Carter happened and he lost his partner and MSK is no longer, Wes Lee has been having a hard time finding his footing on NXT 2.0, okay? It's been very, very hard for him to find his footing. It doesn't seem like they really know what direction to go with Wes Lee. And this is something we've been seeing, and it feels very noticeable each and every single week. Now, are things kind of making a little bit more sense for Wes Lee? No, I still kind of feel like he's just floating around. I still feel like they're trying to find something that sticks for Wes Lee. I don't think anything really so far that they have done yet is working. But with that being said, I do want to say this, even though Wes Lee lost this match against JD McDonough, this was the best match that we have seen Wes Lee in since the breakup or dismantling of MSK, whatever you want to call it. Ever since then, this was the best match that Wes Lee has had. And the reason I like this match was because, JD McDonough was kind of getting the best of Wes Lee. And then there's a moment where Wes Lee just like snaps. He snaps. He finally has this moment where he snaps, and he has like this very evil look in his eye, like he's pissed off and this and that. And we kind of see something new from Wes Lee that we haven't seen in a good amount of time. I don't think we've ever seen this side of Wes Lee. I don't think we ever have, now that I think about it. No, because And MSK, they were baby faces, so we didn't see like this angry Wesley. Then after that, he was getting squashed by Zion Quinn for a good period of time. And I don't even remember everything else that happened because all that was a blur of stuff that didn't really matter for Wesley. And so this time it felt like we were actually seeing a different side of him. And that's kind of what I want to see now. I think because we went from this like babyface tag team to this we don't know what the hell we're doing with Wesley. You might as well just like have him go mad, have him go bananas, and really have him be, I don't know, this really angry guy. At this point, they just really need to find something, stick with it, and run with it. And I liked this. I liked him doing the tope onto JD as he pushes them in through the commentary table, following that with the Meteora, kicking JD in the face and the mouth. That looked absolutely brutal. Getting him with those knees to the to JD. All of that was great stuff. In the end, JD is the one that ends up getting the win by kicking him in the face, and JD wins with the devil inside. It was a good match. Wesley looked great. JD McDONAGH looked great. And even though Wesley lost, I didn't feel like it hurt him. I feel like I finally saw a shade of Wesley that I want to see in terms of the recent stuff. So there you go. That was a thumbs up for that segment as well. All right, and let's go ahead and continue on from here. This is actually a comment from Jake Larson, and I do want to give another shout out to Jake Larson as well because I officially met Jake Larson this weekend for All Out in Chicago. And Jake Larson, I seriously want to thank you because not only was it awesome to meet you in person, but Jake Larson also gave me a very, very nice gift, a really generous letter, which had me laughing a lot because there were some details in there that he put that only people that watch my shows would put in a letter like that. So Jake, thank you so much for the love. But Jake Larson does ask, do you think that Wes should be put in a new tag team? He seems lost. I feel like right now there's two options for Wesley. You can either put him in a new tag team, and I think that would be a great idea. Putting him in with someone would not hurt whatsoever, especially because the tag team division on NXT 2.0 is very, very slim. You could think of a couple of teams, right? But even then, it's still not enough. Or they can basically go a direction where it's like nothing's working for Wesley. Maybe make him into an angry guy. But personally, I feel he fits in better with a tag team. So given the fact that they haven't found anything really for him just yet, put him in a tag team. Put him in a tag team. I don't see anything wrong with that whatsoever. Things might actually just work out so much more for him. But thank you so much to Jake Larson for the very kind gift this weekend and also for sending in this question. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and continue on from here. So after this, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk about this match. This was my favorite match of the night. This was probably my favorite NXT 2.0 match in a good amount of time. I loved this match, okay? This was Meiko Satomura versus Roxanne Perez. Now, the reason to me that this match was a good one was really because, we've been seeing Roxanne Perez in NXT 2.0 now for quite some time. She's a couple of months, whatever, right? I forget the exact date that she came in. But, we've been seeing her for a bit. And for the most part, she has been this, she's a tough cookie, but she has been presented more so as this, like, sweet girl who goes out there and she made her dreams come true of being a WWE superstar, and she's doing a great job on the main roster, and then she gets betrayed by her best friend and this and that, right? So that's basically the portrayal that we've been seeing of Roxanne Perez. Her in-ring work has been great, okay? It's been great, but I think today we saw a different type of competitor in Roxanne Perez, at least on NXT 2.0, okay? We saw Roxanne Perez, I think, level up in a way that we hadn't seen just yet on this show. And I think that a lot of that had to do with Meiko, because she really brought out something different in Roxanne in this match. I think in this match, what we saw was more of a fighting spirit in Roxanne. And I'm not just like, She was just more. I saw her in a different light today, is what I'm trying to get at. Not only was she like aggressive and frustrated, and her selling was absolutely tremendous, but just like my favorite portion of this was the moments where Meiko was like giving those uppercuts to Roxanne Perez, and then Roxanne Perez would do her own to try to get back at Meiko. And Meiko's were still, a lot stronger, a lot more hard hitting, but Roxanne held her own in her own right. She held her own. And personally, I love that she just like went for it. Like she kind of, I feel maybe came out of her shell a little bit in this match. So personally, I freaking love this. She brought a lot of fire into this. I love the spot where she did the Hurricanrana off the top rope. I loved that. You could really tell that Meiko really brought something new out of her. And I feel like that was really, really good to see. There was a moment where Meiko kicks Roxanne in the face, and I just freaking loved the way that Roxanne sold that. I thought that her selling in this was absolutely awesome. But in the end, we do see Meiko actually get the win with the Scorpio Rising on Roxanne Perez. And I tweeted this out, and I'll say it again here. Honestly, even though Roxanne Perez lost this match, she did not lose anything. And I mean anything in this loss whatsoever. If anything, I feel like I've been seeing, for the most part, everybody on Twitter like just rave about this match. I saw Mick Foley say some good words, like some really kind words about this match too. I forgot what he said verbatim, but he said something along the lines of like Roxanne Perez kind of being put on the map today, that sort of thing. And I completely agree. It made me want to see not only just more of Meiko and Roxanne, but it made me want to see Roxanne Perez mix it up with girls that I haven't seen her wrestle yet, in terms of not even just like on the NXT 2.0 side of things, but like I can't wait till she gets to the part where she's, on Raw and on Smackdown, and she's, wrestling those girls and, doing those things with, doing things at a different level. This was a win, guys. This was definitely a win. After the match, Meiko and Roxanne had like a moment where, they shook hands and, showwomanship, whatever. They have their moment, and then Cora Jade attacks her from behind. But Meiko kind of has her back there. So this was all good damn stuff. This was definitely a win, and the best highlight, I think, of NXT 2.0 here today. Let's go ahead and see what people are saying about this here. This is from Viking Tees, who says, I need to see Meiko over wrestling the main roster women, and I completely agree. Christopher Smith says, I don't think this hurts Roxanne at all. It really elevated her career. I think so too. Mike Parker says, from what I've seen of Roxanne, works to the level of her opponent. Yeah, I think that she does a really, I feel like she feeds off I mean, obviously everyone does, but you can really tell the difference in her work when she's in there with people that are a little bit more experienced, just because she's, really feeding off of their feeding off of what they're doing, and you can see that she works well with these people. So and that's not to take away from the other matches and the other work that she's done, because it's definitely been a standout, but we just saw something a little bit different here today, honestly. This is from Luis Carlos Zavala, who says, Roxanne has been great in NXT. I've seen some matches of hers in ROH and Reality of Wrestling. Yeah, and I love the work that she did with Deonna Purrazzo. I really loved what she did there. So that to me was, so we had seen, if you've seen Roxanne's work outside of NXT 2.0, you've seen shades of her, like you saw here today. But this was really like the first time you saw it in NXT 2.0. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's get into, we have a question from Reductive92, who says, what are the chances of seeing Meiko versus Io and or Asuka in a triple threat? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, you never know, right? They've been bringing people from the main roster over to NXT 2.0. Maybe, honestly, I mean, if they brought AJ Styles to feud with Grayson Waller, I think they could bring Asuka to do something with Meiko on NXT 2.0. They could bring Dolph Ziggler to feud with Braun Breaker. They can bring Asuka to feud with Meiko. But again, I don't know. It all depends on what they want to do. But we got people really putting over this match a whole lot. So honestly, that's really freaking awesome. Really freaking awesome. We got Raymond Johnson, who says Meiko needs to go to the main roster and fight Asuka. Hell yeah. Obviously, if she does go to the main roster, that would be phenomenal. But we'll see. we'll definitely see. And let's see what else we got. Let's hop into our next topic of the day. Let's get into Trick Williams versus Ricochet. Honestly, there's really not that much I want to say about this one because this was, to me, this was probably one of the this wasn't really, to me, one of the highlights of the show. I thought Trick Williams versus Ricochet was kind of nothing. I didn't really think too much of this. Ricochet wins with the shooting star press. This is really just to continue the feud with Carmelo and Ricochet. And we'll talk more later about what's going on with next week's 1-year anniversary show in regards to Carmelo Hayes. But sure, this was, I don't really have anything else to add about this one, guys. I don't have anything else to add. It was really a nothing part of the show to me. We got a super chat here from Reductive92 who says, also makes me feel like there's already a Gen Z Paige versus AJ Lee and Roxanne versus Cora Jade. Man, like, I don't know, like, it's hard to, like, I could see it, but it just feels so, hey, you know what? Yeah, there's something to that. This could, like, here's the thing, like, Roxanne and Cora Jade could definitely be, you know, their history could, if they keep going, they could be somebody that you're always talking about. Like when you mention Cora Jade, you're always going to think of Roxanne Perez. And when you mention Roxanne Perez, you're always going to think of Cora Jade. But they still have a long ways to get there. They're not there just yet, but they could be there. They definitely could be there. If you're going to give us a Gen Z option, this would definitely be it. If we needed to find one, this one would be it. Thank you so much to Reductive92 for also sending in your thoughts and a super chat here. I appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on from this. Let's get into Nathan Frazier versus Axiom in the best of 3 series. This was the first one that we got here today. This was another match that I thought was just okay. You got to understand, like, I tend, like, and I know that I should rate NXT 2.0 on a different level. I know that I should, right? Like, rate things on a different level, not compare them to other shows, you know, stuff like that. But I got to be real with you. This match I thought was going to be a lot better. I know that maybe, you know, people in the CWC liked it, but I really thought that it could have been a lot better. Now, keep in mind, this is the best of 3, so they're clearly saving stuff for the second and the third match, but I kind of thought that this was just okay. I feel like I've seen better from Nathan Frazier in other matches. I kind of was just expecting a little bit more in terms of more fast pace, more, I hate to say it, more flippy shit. I was just expecting more, guys. Like, I've seen, you got to understand, like, I know what type of match they were going for. And personally, I just didn't really feel like it hit that mark. So for me, this one was kind of a miss on the show. But then again, it's the best out of 3. This was just 1. So I'll wait and see what they do on 2 and 3. All right. And continuing on from here, let's get into... let's talk about what's been announced for next week's show for the 1-year anniversary, and then we'll go ahead and talk about the main event program. All right, so we got a couple of stuff good here that was announced for next week's show. The 1-year anniversary of NXT 2.0. I cannot believe how fast this has all happened. Like, I feel like it was just like 4 months ago that I was sitting here talking about this brand new era of NXT 2.0, and lo and behold, we're already a 1 year in. Like, I cannot believe it. Honestly, I legitimately cannot. All right, so what do we got? We got the NXT Tag Team Champions, Pretty Deadly. They're going to be defending their titles against the Creed brothers in a match where the fans get to decide the stipulation. Now, we're going to have a lot of this where there's going to be like some voting and whatnot for this type of stuff. Now, I got to tell you, as a person that grew up and was able to vote for Taboo Tuesday and Cyber Sunday, and as a person who votes for the People's Choice Awards and used to vote for, I vote for all the awards. Anything that involves voting, I'm there. I don't know why. Voting definitely works for me. So I'm kind of excited that they're doing this like voting type of thing. Screw it. I'm a sucker for this interactive stuff. And I put that in air quotations. Regardless, I still like the idea and the concept of it all. So this is fine. I'm so excited. Pretty Deadly versus Creed Brothers, I think, is going to be a banger. We also got Cameron Grimes and a mystery partner in a tag team match against Tony D'Angelo and Stax. Who the mystery partner is going to be, I don't know. I don't know who the mystery partner is going to be. I don't know who the mystery partner is going to be. But regardless, this one should be good. I was going to make a joke, but now that I think about it, it's not a good joke. After this, let's go ahead and get into another match that we're going to be seeing, and that is the NXT North American Championship match. Carmelo Hayes is going to be defending his title against a challenger, and the person who that's going to be is also going to be determined by the fans. So I don't know who the options are yet, though. Did they say the options? I don't know. I don't even know when voting opens. I'm pretty sure they said when voting opens, but I wasn't listening. So at some point, we'll find out who that. Man, I should have seen when does the voting open? Hold on. Let me check WWE.com. Hold on. I should know this. I should know how the voting opens. Oh, man. I don't see anything. I just did a quick preview of the show. Nope. Okay. I'll find out later. We'll find out later. That's it. We'll find out later, everybody. All right. Moving on from this, let's get into the main event, guys, of today's show. So it kicked off with a Tyler Bate promo. Unfortunately, Tyler Bate lost to Bron Breakker. I know a lot of us thought that he was going to win, unify the titles, and that Bron Breakker was going to go to the main roster, but we're going a different direction. Tyler Bate lost, and so he comes out here today and he starts thanking fans from the bottom of his heart. He thanks the live studio audience, thanks everyone for backing up NXT UK from the very beginning. And then he thanks Bron Breakker and he puts him over as the unified NXT champion and says that despite the loss, they both created magic with each other. And regardless, he was grateful about that. However, Gallus comes out and they basically tell Tyler Bate that instead that he should be apologizing and not thanking people because he let everyone back down in Europe, and he thinks that they think that he should have won the unification match. And if you recall, the week leading into Worlds Collide, they had like everybody kind of, giving words of encouragement and, oh, you need to win because of this and you need to win because of that to both competitors. So I like this. I really, really like this. But afterwards, so Gallus ends up attacking Tyler Bate. So obviously he's outnumbered, and Bron Breakker runs in. He clotheslines Wolfgang. He gets in there and helps Tyler Bate. And this all leads to the main event of the evening, which was a tag team match with Mark and Joe Coffey against Bron Breakker and Tyler Bate. Honestly, this match was a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be, but it was an exciting match. Bate and Bron Breakker were an exciting team together. Truthfully, I didn't even care to see them I didn't care about seeing them team up, and I ended up liking it and enjoying it so much more than I was originally expecting. But this was a quick match, though. After the match, they get the win, but we do end up seeing JD McDONAGH as Bron Breakker and Tyler Bate are celebrating. We see JD McDONAGH come from behind and attack Tyler Bate. And then afterwards, Bron Breakker kind of taunts him and like runs off JD McDONAGh. So we are leading into Tyler Bate and JD. So that should be a really good match whenever that does end up happening. So overall, a simple NXT, but a good NXT. Like, even though it wasn't like, I don't feel like anything super major happened, like anything super like newsworthy. I still feel like it was a good show, especially that Roxanne Meiko match I thought was phenomenal. So good stuff overall, guys. Let's see. Let's get some final thoughts, everybody. I feel like let's get some final thoughts. And then before we get some final thoughts in here, I just want to promote the next shows that I have coming up this weekend. So tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be here to talk about AEW Dynamite, and that is going to be a Dynamite for the ages because of all the drama that has been happening and all the rumors circulating and just everything that's been going down. I think that whatever happens tomorrow on Dynamite is going to give us some clues, or at least some sort of I don't know, some sort of indication of where things may be headed and where things may be going. We'll find out tomorrow. So that's going to be a very exciting show. Make sure you guys come in and tune in for that post show. On top of that, I will be back on Friday to talk about Smackdown and Rampage. Finally, I will be here on Friday to talk about both of those shows. All right, let's go ahead and see what we got here and see what people are saying. Some last and final thoughts here. Yeah, Eddie brings up that we're going to be seeing Sol Ruka, I think it was, and also Quincy Elliott, the Super Diva, is going to be making their Super Diva, I think it's Quincy Elliott, is going to be making his debut next week. And I spoke about him a lot when he first made his NXT debut because got to work with him in the past. I'm excited to see what he gets to do on NXT 2.0. The character is very, very out there, so I think it's going to be very interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Everybody's putting over tomorrow's Dynamite. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Alrighty, everyone. I know it's kind of a short show here for NXT 2.0, but that's pretty much all we got here today. That's about it. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was a quick one, but thank you so much. Please make sure to subscribe to F4W Online. Follow me on Twitter, guys. I am 800 followers away from 80,000, hoping to get there. And please make sure to head on over to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo and check out those scrub videos. Until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye, everyone.